right on board with Joey Haynes right here, our current leader. It's all going to unfold right in front of them.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's like a video game. It is, well, I mean, I say that, but you know what I mean. It's just zipping past cars. It's like he's playing some arcade game there and just blasting past them one after another as they all wreck around him.
I mentioned how aggressive Hovdal was through the GTO traffic on the lap before, and here he's going to try to go around the outside, which he's already in the dirty air, and just barely hangs on to it. Bill with another poor exit out of turn one. You got to think the over-under has got to be coming at some point, but no. Neil Kemp's going to try the long way around turn two. What a battle here for the sixth place position. Neil Kemp has half a car over Bill Tyler, but they're going to take it side by side into the short break zone. This could be disaster right here, but Bill Tyler thankfully backs out of it.
Will he get both of these spots, or will it be Kimo or Gernot through the first corner, out of that one, and now it's going to be three wide as they come up to the next braking zone.
Watch Leno right here. He's going to have the best draft off the back of Kimo, but Gernot's going to take it wide around the outside. He's going to have great traction coming off of this corner.
Who's going to get the exit? That's going to be so critical. Oh, no, banging wheels.
We're almost to that point. Antonio Alvarez is 5 seconds back, so it's only going to be 4 cars. But my goodness, it's a 4-car fight now for the 7th position.
Oh no, this is too wide through the jam. This doesn't work well. Fabian Jungbluth is going to have to take a course cut. That's going to be a slowdown penalty. Aitor Sintes Galindo keeps on rocking. That's going to be Xavier Sanchez and Ross Banfield now taking it too wide on Aitor Sintes Galindo. He doesn't have a time to breathe out there.
Nobody has a time to breathe. Sintes Galindo fighting off the battle from Jungbluth. Now he's under pressure from Banfield. Xavier Sanchez looking on in the back, and Jungbluth is now caught up because of these guys going too wide. Everyone's a little slow right now. They've lost a full second and a half to Antonio Alvarez. Now it's almost going to be 3 wide into the braking zone for the next right-hander. And they make a little contact.
Just a little bit of contact puts 2 wheels of Banfield out on the dirt, and the defense of Aitor Sintes Galindo. Write this down. This is one for the ages, folks. He is still in that 7th position.
Leighton is back to the top of the points, but his record this season is a bit different than we saw last year. He has not managed to win more than 2 races in a row, so today presents him an opportunity to break that duck. But Long Beach is known for being cruel and unforgiving, so can he avoid the pitfalls it presents? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Long Beach was one of the most requested and most highly anticipated circuits on iRacing. Let's take a closer look at it with our track guide. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Well, as we saw in real life recently, DJ, this is a place that can definitely throw up some unexpected results.
Yeah, it very, very easily can, Joe. This is all about keeping all 4 tires on the black stuff and keeping them off the white stuff. That is the walls that line this circuit. Look for really only 2 decent overtaking opportunities. That's going down into that first corner or down into the Firestone turn, although we have seen in recent memory some more extravagant passes getting thrown onto Seaside Way into the Tecate turn. But really and truly, the first half of this lap is incredibly claustrophobic. It's walls on right either side of you. You've got to be very, very careful, and you can't stray offline. When you bring yourself onto the Tecate turn up through Pine Avenue, then things start to open up a little bit until you get to the ever-fearsome hairpin, one of the most difficult corners anywhere in the world. To get it right requires so much patience, but you've got to be able to be quick out of there because you need that long blast down the front straightaway to be able to set up a pass into turn 1.
That's certainly going to be one of the most important areas to watch all day. But before we get to the racing, we want to remind you that this series is brought to you by Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or call them at 225-664-2565. So for the championship, as I mentioned, Tom Layton back up to the top once again, ahead of Michael Johnson by about 12 points. And Michael's not been having the good run that he's been hoping for, been off the podium in the last 2 rounds, and that has set him backwards. But Michael Bolton not doing too shabby. He had 3 podiums in a row, just missed out on a 4th last time. And then Andrew Chinichi returns back to the podium with a 2nd place last time, getting him back a little bit closer, but he's mostly out of the championship hunt from here. He's just trying to see what he can score from here on out. So still much to play for down there, a little bit lower, as many drivers are very, very tight together, but Tom Layton is starting to get a bit of a gap, which is bad news for the rest of the field. Let's take a look at the race details, though, DJ, and what do they have in store?
Well, for round 9 of 12 on the season, we're still in those Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, the 992s, and we are back into our sprint race format. So this is going to be a 30-minute race preceded by 30 minutes of qualifying, 22 minutes of which have passed at this point, and it is a fixed setup here for all drivers. So the only thing that is going to make any difference here is going to be the fleshy part behind the wheel, and around Long Beach, that's a pretty important part.
It really is. It is such a driver's track. And in the midst of the qualifying, Tom Layton has the provisional pole, which is probably going to be half the battle. It is kind of tough to try and make overtakes at this place. He's got half a second over Jacob Abrams, so he's looking pretty solid. Still 7 minutes left, and a lot can happen in that time.
Yeah, plenty of time to be able to have here. A half a second, though, is a pretty large gap to try to make back up. Some very close running there between Bolton, Johnson, and Fulton. That's a pretty close gap, as well as Nelson and Salehi. Jed Duncan not too far behind as well. But yeah, Joe, to your point, it's really and truly all going to be about track position here. And, well, it's going to be a little bit like a super speedway race. You're going to want to be at the front of the field because the farther up you are, the less chance you're going to have of a track blockage. And that could be a real problem around here, particularly going down through the fountain.
Leighton going to try and improve here as he crosses the line. Looks like he's on a flyer, but he was just shy by less than 1/10 of a second on his 20.3. I was watching Jad Duncan for a bit, but he wrecked out on that most recent lap. He was almost half a second up on his best lap, so he would have made huge leaps and bounds there, but unfortunately was not meant to be. It is extremely tight, basically from Edward Nelson down to, I'd say, about Jad Duncan there for 7th, 6th, 7th, and 8th position. So those guys are going to be vying hard to try and make up positions. Looks like Ed's just getting a warm-up lap going. Let's see what he can do here as he tries to come off the hairpin.
Yeah, and as I said before, even though this is a warm-up lap, he needs to nail this exit coming off the hairpin. That's a little bit of a shallow line off there. It's a little bit more of the cautious line, let's call it. You really see some of the high performers here, Leighton, Abrams, Johnson, carry that momentum all the way out to the outside and really push that car around. But Nelson still could get a good start here. Let's see what he's able to do.
Maybe a little distraction there as he goes through turn 1 as Larry Haas exits the pit lane. But so far, he has at least got it through the fountain section safely. Unfortunately, he's half a second down right now, so not looking too good in the early part of the lap. There are some tricky corners coming up that he maybe could make up some time with.
Yeah, be able to get those times here, and this is coming down to the Tecate turn. We can occasionally see passes through here, particularly a good over-under move is definitely a good way to set up here, as now he's going to bring his way up Pine Avenue, down into Seaside Way. Good cutting of the corner there. Looks like some good lines here for Nelson, carrying that speed to the outside. This looks like a good lap.
He's taking it all the way out to the edge, so that's good to see. As I'm watching Brian Salehi, because he was showing like he might improve, and he does, to a 21.376. That's going to put him into 6th place ahead of Nelson. Can Ed respond here as he comes around the hairpin? I'm showing him at half a second down still. I don't think he's made up that time in the latter half of the lap. As he comes to the end of it, it looks like it's not going to be any good for him, and indeed, it's a 22.1 that time by. It's about half a second off of his 21.4. So 4 more minutes. He could still get a few more in if he thinks he's got the pace in the car, but we'll see as we check back now at others crossing the line. This is Jacob Abrams, who looks like he is not going to have a fast lap that time. Ooh, Leighton's coming through looking hot. Oh, nope, looks like that lap was discounted, so must have brushed the wall or something.
Yeah, that's really one of those things that you can pick up around here is those kind of lap discountments. It's not like a normal track where if you barely cross over the grass or anything like that, it's really about brushing the wall around here. As there comes the 83 across the line right now. Not looking like an improvement there for Jad. He's going to stay in 8th place at the moment. But as time ticks away here, only about 3.5 minutes left to go. It's now or never time for these drivers. They have got to get on it and get boogieing.
Indeed, down towards the first corner once again here for Dylan Scott. He sits in 13th place, has to make up 0.4 of a second to catch Karasay, and it looks like he must have hit the wall somewhere because the front is completely crumpled up, but he's carrying on, and he might actually be out of time to get back in, get a fresh car, and keep going. So maybe that's why he is still out there.
Yeah, that may be it. I will also say earlier on in the session, I did notice quite a few drivers that were working around here in damage. And, you know, there's a little bit in the back of my head that is maybe thinking if they were able to get a good lap down, Joe, it may actually be beneficial to be running here in with damage and qualifying. Treat this as a little bit as practice, because more often than not, over the course of this 30-lap race, you're going to find yourself in the wall, and you need to know how the car is going to respond to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Leighton, though, has improved now to a 20.2. And, well, he just spun, so his qualifying, I think, is effectively over from here. No, he kept that out of the wall, so he's going to keep carrying on. Meanwhile, down to the line for Dylan Scott. He's not too far off of his time, so that damage isn't actually doing too badly for him. But it's not going to be quicker. It's a 22.7, so about a tenth off of his quickest.
All right, a little bit off there as they go, as now here comes Michael Johnson working his way onto the back straightaway right now, and that's a little bit of what I was talking about. You can see that good line that he ran, carrying it all the way out to the outside wall. That's really and truly the way to maximize speed around here, as he now brings it down through the Firestone turn, being very aggressive with that curbing.
Also looking like Doug Boccignoni might make a quick lap. 21.6, new best time for him. But he doesn't go up higher than ninth. He stays put. What about Johnson? As yep, this is going to be a warm-up lap for him. He pulls out long out of the hairpin and flies down the front stretch.
All right, let's see what he is able to do on full power here, coming down this curving front straightaway, trying to see if he's able to get it. A minute left on the clock. This will be his last run here. He's got to be careful. You can't stray over that pit exit line there, and he's going to be able to keep things together. A little bit of oversteer coming down into turn one.
He often mentions that he's not as good at qualifying, so can he try and make up for it a bit here? Fourth is not too bad. He's about 8/10 off of Tom Leighton, so definitely something to be made up there, as he's aggressive on the inside curves out of turn 5 and using as much as he can. I'm showing him very close to his best time, but it's going to be nip and tuck.
Yeah, it certainly is. He's going to need to maximize time here, coming onto Seaside Way, and again coming out of the hairpin. That's going to be his magic moment. He's going to bring it through there. Not quite the clip of the curb that we've seen some of the other drivers do, but still a pretty good line.
I think we might see an improvement for Ed Nelson, who wants to take that back from Brian Salehi, who improved not long ago. And that is Michael Johnson done with his qualifying as he plows into the wall. But Nelson does not go over Salehi. He is 17 thousandths off of that 6th place time.
Oh, a little bit of a heartbreak there. Here comes Leighton. Let's see if he's going to be able to improve and rub a little bit of salt into the wounds. Going to get a little bit of a draft there off of, I believe that's Bolton. Whew, that got a little bit close. But Leighton comes to the line here, and looks like that's not going to be an improvement, but he'll stay on top.
Mehmet Karasay, the next one across, not any quicker, unfortunately. Then Larry Haas is the next driver in the yellow and green. He's tracking well slow on this one, so that's not going to do it. Dylan Scott and Michael Bolton going to be the last two here. And Dylan Scott way down in 13th, really needs something on this one, but he's going to park it as he abandons the lap. Bolton's close, though.
Bolton's very close. Let's see if he's got anything here as he's going to come to the line. Is that going to be an improvement? No.
Just improves by a couple hundredths of a second, and he's less than a tenth off of Jacob Abrams. He'll have to start on the 2nd row. And that, I believe, is it for qualifying. Don't think anybody else can take a lap from here, as we did see someone just come across there, but didn't look like that's an improvement for the 15 of Brian Salehi. So qualifying is over. Tom Leighton takes another pole, and Jacob Abrams is going to be starting next to him. Jacob's been showing some speed lately and has been having some steady improvement. Just the results don't seem to be showing as much for him. They'll have Michael Bolton on the inside of the 2nd row, and then Michael Johnson and all Michael's 2nd row there in 4th. BJ Fulton starts from P5, as Brian Salehi will be in 6th. Ed Nelson starts 7th today. Then Jad Duncan will be P8. Row 5 sees Doug Boccignone and Mark Rondeau.
As we move back into 11th place, it's going to be Jeff Shulam, followed by Mehmet Karasay, then Dylan Scott and Larry Haas to round out row 7, John Momeyer 15th, and Adam Abrams to round out your 16-car grid.
So they should grid up here in any second now. And then we'll be on our way for 30 minutes, a sprint race around this track. Pressure is going to be on to try and make up what you can while you can. And as they apparently discussed behind the scenes, looks like they did settle on a standing start. That's honestly good to see, because trying to do a rolling start around that hairpin can be a real disaster sometimes, and the grid often cannot get packed up. But this won't spread them out very much down to that first turn, DJ.
No, it certainly won't. They're going to be all on top of each other, and that could be a little bit of a problem here for these drivers, but we will have to see how they're going to be able to respond to it. You're going to have to be careful. The first turn can present its problems, but Joe, the real area that I'm going to be watching out for calamity, that's going to be going down into the fountain.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not over once you get through that first turn. It carries on and is very tight through there. Now, who has practiced their standing starts? That's a big question here, because this series doesn't typically do it. We're just waiting on BJ Fulton, the last one in that open spot in 5th place. Then they'll start to get the signal that it's time to go, and the lights will start to come up. And Fulton is taking his time here. He's got about 45 more seconds. There he goes. So he could have waited, but thankfully he's not going to make us wait all that longer. All right, then. The engines now start to rev as the lights come up. And the green flag is out, coming off the line. Abrams does not go very well, but look at Michael Johnson. He is off like a shot. Oh,
Whoa.
We got a wreck for Brian Salehi, and I think that's BJ Fulton getting turned around as well.
Yes, it is. It also looks like, I think that's Jad Duncan turned around. Absolute calamity, but what a start up at the front of the field here.
Bolton is going to take the lead. Johnson moves to second. Tom Layton could not get off the line well. He's down to third. Shulam gains 7 spots here, and he's up to P4.
He certainly is. I am so impressed there with that jump. It looked to me like Layton just got a little bit of wheel spin off of the line, the same problem that Jacob Abrams ran into, but instead of absolutely keeping his foot planted, he backed off of it a little bit, and that's what slowed him down, Joe.
Yeah, a couple cars didn't go, and a few were trying to weave around them. Brian Salehi was one that caused him to spin, and we'll have to go back and take a look at it a little bit later to really unravel it. You could see some of them trying to recover. I think that's Salehi right there, missing his hood as we go side by side down through turn 8.
All right, here comes the battle. Abrams trying to be able to hold it out there. A very heavily weaving number 15 in front of them as they try to get out of the way. Abrams is going to be able to position himself down to the inside there through the Firestone turn. He's going to be able to hold on to that. Salehi, that car looks very damaged.
So Abrams now back up to 6, trying to make up what he can. Gets a little help from behind, and I think Salehi spins and thankfully is able to get out of people's way, but he comes back in front of Adam Abrams.
And that's some of that calamity that I talked about. We saw it at the areas that I frankly didn't think we were going to have it, coming on the start-finish line and down into that final corner. But really and truly catching these drivers out here as the number 15 comes on down in. Looks like a couple other drivers opting to come in and get their spare car, as that's the number 7 of Edward Nelson, and that car certainly looks like it looks like it needs it, as it looks like Momeyer may have had a problem out on track as well.
Yeah, Nelson, Duncan, and Salehi all had black and orange flags, so they have to come in and take that spare car, or else they'll need to sit and wait a long time for repairs. I think we've got the replay here for the opening. Shulam, he made a very quick avoid to get out of all that, and then, oh man, just barely clipped there, and unfortunately sent around. It appears that 83 just could not avoid it.
Yeah, and that can happen here when you're on a street circuit as we take another look at the replay. Also, Baccignoni had a very, very bad start there. And yeah, the number 15 just kind of clipped to the side there of Abrams. I think he didn't anticipate Abrams' wiggle, let's call it, as he tried to get the power down and tried to be able to push away. I've got to say, that 728 of Jacob, very, very lucky not to have further damage here in today's race.
Yeah, so they get spread out a little bit, but not all that much. Up at the front, Bolton is, well, bolting away, actually. He's outpacing Michael Johnson right now, who's got his hands full of Tom Layton.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's trying to defend him here at this point, and the key to defense around Long Beach is you really only need to be looking in your rearview mirrors at a couple of corners. Other than that, absolutely phase everything else out and just keep focused on the drive ahead. Although Leighton may try to make this move into one of those areas. Here it comes down to the Tecate turn. I said this could be an overtaking opportunity. Johnson's going to sweep around the outside, shut the door, but Leighton's able to carry some good speed.
It's a little bit of a shake coming off the corner there from Michael Johnson. He's got the inside onto the back stretch. He's going to give him just enough space, and now it is a drag race down into Firestone turn, a little bit in favor of Tom Leighton, but he's on the outside. Can he chop down in front of him? He breaks later. Is it too late? No, he makes the corner.
Barely makes it work. Michael was thinking about maybe trying to get a little bit of an over-under there, but that wasn't going to play. And I think here at this point, that was Leighton just asserting some dominance early on. He knows he needed to clear Johnson as quickly as possible to try to close down that 3-second gap up to Michael Bolton.
Well, and Bolton is not going to want to see that pass done. He was hoping probably that Johnson would hold him up much longer. And now Bolton has really got a boogie. And honestly, and this is no slam against Bolton, he's probably going to have to play defense. I don't think Tom Leighton is going to just sit around and wait. He's going to catch him in a hurry.
No, Joe, I will bet all of the money in my pockets that Leighton is going to be absolutely cooking here at this point, trying to get his way around. Bolton just needs to ignore the relative, ignore everything in his rearview mirrors, and run his race. That's the way he's going to win this.
So it looks like we've also had, I think, Adam Abrams have to come into pit lane and take his spare car, and he's back out and running at this point. Already have 2 cars a lap down, and Adam, and as well as Jad Duncan, who's managed to return to the track himself. But Bolton down the back stretch, it's already coming down. You mentioned 3 seconds. It's already 2.4.
All right, well, he's going to have to see if he can hold this out here. Sometimes we've seen that absolute pace from Tom Leighton just be something that you cannot do anything with. And a little bit of a slide like that out of Michael Bolton coming out of the final hairpin. Ooh, that's not what he wants to see. He needs to get the power down cleanly and quickly off of the line.
Riding on board with Tom, giving chase here as the sun sets. And down into the braking of the first turn, you can see how much he's gaining. It's down to 1.6 now, really chopping down at it, setting fastest lap after fastest lap out there. Driver who's actually taken the most advantage of all this going on is kind of a tie between Jeff Shulam up 7 and Dylan Scott also up 7. But we're only 7 minutes into this race, so there's still a long ways to go. We'll see if they can hold on to that.
Yeah, that's going to be the question here, because Long Beach really and truly is a race of attrition. And I don't necessarily mean that the car is going to be banging off the sides the entire time or anything like that. It's mental attrition, Joe. To be able to drive a clean lap around here requires so much mental concentration. Doing that lap after lap for 30 minutes, it really takes it out of you. And you have got to absolutely be on the top of your game to make it work.
So last time by, Leighton ran a 20.4, Bolton a 21.7. So he's literally 1.3 seconds a lap quicker than him at this stage. Has Bolton been able to pick it up a little bit this time? He's going to cross the line here. And it's a 21.3. Yeah, he picked it up. He's 0.4 of a second faster, but that's still not as quick as Leighton's previous lap. It was a 20.8 this time. So Leighton cut another half second off of it.
Got another half second off of it here, and that's what Leighton needs to do. It needs to be just infinitesimal gains. He doesn't need to absolutely sell the farm out to be able to do it, and he got a little bit careful there. He ran a little bit wide coming through the fountain. Mistakes like that could be the difference between a win and a second place here for Tom Leighton.
Not the only one that's being caught up. Jeffrey Shulam, who I said, we'll see if he can hold on to that P4. Well, Jacob Abrams is right on top of him already, right up to the wall there for the 371, just about scraping the wing mirrors off.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit of a push here at this point as we focus in on the battle. Shulam holding off Abrams. I would expect Abrams to have more outright speed here. Remember how far up he qualified, and he just got that bad start. So let's see if he's able to build the rhythm here. He's certainly close enough to be able to get the slipstream here coming down the back straightaway, and he's going to want to try to gain those positions back up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, he was on the front row. So neither of our front row starters got off the line particularly well there, unfortunately. And this is where he needs to stay tight to the back of that bright blue machine. Can he manage to get by him? Well, that's a little too tight as he actually shoves him through the corner.
Yeah, they're going to get into it there a little bit more, and now it's going to be barely Shulam ahead at the line, but I think Abrams is going to try to have a look here, maybe around the outside as Shulam defends the inside line coming down into turn one.
This can get sketchy if they're not careful, because if a driver outbrakes himself, he can take both of them out through here, but Abrams is going to give it up. So I think he's going to play the long game. He's going to wait for a nice solid pass.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best option here for Abrams. You don't want to chuck everything away. Ooh, that was a scrape of the wall there for Jacob Abrams. That's the other thing he's got to be careful for. You don't want to over-push the car in the aero wash because you will pick up that little bit of understeer that'll just throw you into the outside wall.
Well, and all of his markers are obscured a bit here. We have to remember, he's got a car right in front of him. So does Tom Layton. He's now caught up to the back of Bolton. So the battle for the lead is on. Early braking for Bolton, and he leaves the door open. Layton says, thank you very much. I'll take that apex away. But he was way inside. Somehow he did not get a cut course for that.
I do not know how he did, but he was able to make it work. My goodness gracious, and there we've got a battle for the lead as Bolton and Layton are on it.
Don't need to go to it now, but Abrams did get by Shulam at the end of the backstretch, so that pass has been made for P4. What about for the lead? Down into turn one as Layton follows. No defense to the inside once again for Bolton. It worked out for him last time, and he's going to go as deep as he can on the brakes. Is it deep enough? No. Layton is through.
Tom Layton, absolute textbook precision there, and he is going to be able to stretch an advantage now as we close down over 10 minutes gone in this race. I think Layton's going to scamper off into the distance here, and Joe, my question is going to be is who is going to settle out here for P2?
Yeah, unless Tom Layton makes a mistake, I don't think we're going to see anybody catch him on pace the way that qualifying in this race have gone. But you never know. Weirder things have happened. Johnson versus Bolton, one might be interesting because they're still only about a second apart. So it could be that battle for P2 that you just mentioned there, whether or not that settles out. As I mentioned, Abrams has managed to get into P4 and is running away from Shulam, but he's about 8 seconds behind Michael Johnson. That's going to be a tall order getting up there, and that was a little wiggle coming off a Firestone turn from Bolton.
Ooh, maybe some chinks in the armor here for Bolton, and indeed it does look like Johnson's being able to close him down a little bit. And Joe, this can happen sometimes. When you get passed by a driver, you kind of lose confidence for a lap or two, and you've got to really focus yourself back up and get it back together to be able to build that rhythm around here. And even on a street circuit like this, we talk about rhythm a lot around circuits that are very, very twisty, like Oulton Park or things like that. But around a street circuit, a rhythm is so utterly crucial.
Ooh, Rondeau's had a problem. Facing the wrong way out of the hairpin. He's trying to get it turned around. He's got to be careful, though, about who's coming up on him. Adam Abrams is next. He sees him. He's going to dodge around, but poor Mark Rondeau still down in 9th position. Adam is trying to make his lap back, so these two are not battling for position, thankfully.
All right, so that's going to be a little bit of a better run there for them, as there you see the number 11 of Rondeau able to work his way around. Got another little, big contact there farther behind. I'm not sure who that was, but that's going to be right in front of another battle coming onto the main straightaway.
That was Brian Salehi with the exact same problem. Just got it spun around out of the hairpin, and he plowed it into the wall, unfortunately. Ed Nelson not going to try and overtake the spot. Larry Haas is already by and through. Down to the inside. Some damage on Salehi. He's got to be concerned about this, and he gets fed out into the corner, and so does Nelson. Contact between them ends their day, at least in the case of Salehi. Nelson looks like he's able to get it rolling once again.
Yeah, Salehi made heavy contact there with the tire barriers on the outside, and I've got to say, it looked like Bayan gave a little bit of a pinch to Nelson down to the inside. I think he needed to give him a little bit more space, though. I'd want to take another look at it, Joe, but that's my initial reaction.
Yeah, you are not allowed to go over that line there on the pit exit, so you can pinch somebody, and I'm sure the stewards are going to take a dim view on it. Let's take another look here. Did he come over on him? No, don't think he did. I think he gave enough space. It's just he got turned into.
Yeah, I got a little turned into there, but one way or the other, that's going to be a rough break for Bine. Let's take one more look at it here. Comes in, let's call that a racing deal here at this point.
Yeah. Ed could have maybe turned in a little sooner, but I think they both were hot into that corner, unfortunately. And, well, it seems Salehi really paid the price. Jad Duncan has retired, unfortunately. Salehi's taking repairs for that latest one. I think he has one last spare car to him if he wants to get it and come back out and try to pick up some spots. But we're only halfway through this one. And look at this. Johnson has caught up to Bolton, so battle for P2 starting to bubble up.
Yes, it is. That gap under a second here as they work their way over the main straightaway at about the halfway mark here. And I think for Michael Johnson, it's about consistent pressure here at this point. Trying to just push his way forward here. See if he can maybe force a little bit of an error out of Bolton, because we've seen those tires spin up a little bit. We've seen some problems for Michael, and if he's able to keep that going, let's see what he can do.
Bolton's already got 4 podiums so far this season and just missed out on his 5th last time out. Finished in 4th place. Would have had 4 in a row if that was the case. Let's see if he can start that tally once again, as behind him Michael Johnson is going to try and challenge him for P2. Of course, if Bolton does get past, he'll still be in 3rd place. But he does have to bring it home. As we said, this place is treacherous. A small mistake can end your day in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, really, Ken. You've got to be very, very careful about that. And these drivers need to make sure that they're able to keep everything together here at this point, just trying to drive it on in. Like I said, Michael Johnson, I have to be careful because there are 2 Michaels, needs to make sure that he doesn't over-push the car in an attempt to chase at this point. It's just got to be cool and consistent.
Getting a little bit dark out here as well. They started at around 6:30 virtual standard time. It's now almost past 7. I think it's more due to the clouds more so, because this is set in May. So it shouldn't be complete sunset this early, but it has made for somewhat of a cool track. And thankfully, they do have headlights on the car if it does get rather dark. I don't think that should be an issue, but not traditionally a track that does see nighttime racing.
No, it's certainly not. I can tell you that they are not equipped for nighttime racing. Oh, that's a car off in front of them. That's the number 14. That is a back marker there. That's Larry Haas just getting things wrong coming out of that corner. He's got some pretty hefty damage there to the front of that car. That's Jacob Abrams lurking in the background, trying to close in on Johnson. I think Abrams' really only hope here at this point is if there's going to be an incident that fires off in front of them.
Yeah, in fact, he's lost a little bit of time. It's not huge strokes, but it's up to about 10 seconds. And remember, many laps ago, it was about 8 seconds apart between them. So it seems like Johnson has a little bit better pace than Jacob Abrams at this stage. Poor Larry Haas has had a couple spins around over the course of this race, unfortunately. It's a really tough one. We were not trying to oversell it. It is incredibly difficult in the pantheon of iRacing tracks.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of the hardest to get right. But, Joe, when you lock into it, when you figure out the secrets of Long Beach and you're able to put a good lap together, there are few places that are more rewarding than this circuit. It's a love-hate relationship I have with it.
Talked about staying patient. Johnson is still with him and hasn't been making any moves that I can see so far. How long does he sit and wait, though? Does he try and make a move at some point?
I mean, I think I would just keep putting on the pressure here at this point and wait for another, let's call it 5 minutes or so before I absolutely throw everything in the kitchen sink at the wall. That's at least my advice. We'll have to see if that purple number 9 takes it.
Just hovering at about 3 to 4 tenths behind the 127. Just kind of waiting for it. There was a little slip from Bolton coming off the corner. That's going to make him slow down the back stretch. And as they hit the end of Seaside Way, well, it's not slow enough. Doesn't look like Johnson is going to be able to attack there, but I'm sure he's tucking that one away mentally.
Yeah, he's going to just be making those logs here in his brain. Where is Bolton a little bit weak? Where is he going to be able to press the advantage? How is he going to be able to press the advantage? It's all things that he's going to be thinking about here at this point and just trying to build that logbook as this time continues to tick away on the clock.
Earlier, we talked about some of the hard chargers. Right now, Dylan Scott still with the most positions gained, up 7. He's a little behind Schulem, so I don't know if he's going to catch Schulem, who is vying for that hard charger with. And let's take a look at the lap comparison between Johnson and Bolton here to see kind of how they square up. So it looks like it was about lap 12 when he caught him, because that's when it suddenly starts to even out. But all of them pretty consistently quicker.
Yeah, pretty consistently quicker here at this point, and that's going to be a good marker there for Michael Johnson. And rest assured, he's probably going to have that knowledge in the back of his brain here at this point that he is faster and that he's able to make things play a little bit more. He's going to have to try to push a little bit more to get the overtake done, but if he knows he's faster, he knows he's got the outright pace, and he's going to go for it.
So down through Firestone once again, switching back through the Indy left and into the hairpin as they try and get it launched off the corner. This is going to be the critical one for both of them. Bolton needs to try and run away, while Johnson needs to try and find the traction to keep him from running away, to set up a pass down into turn 1. And it looks to me like Michael Bolton actually was a little better out of the corner.
No, as there's a spin for John Momeyer farther back down in the field. Momeyer in 10th place right now. He's going to get that car turned back around. But you're very right, Joe, as it was Michael Johnson able to close in, or able to lose a little bit of time. But look at that. Gains it back up under braking. That tells me that Johnson's got just a little bit more confidence here in that first sector to make things play.
Momeyer's incident was an interesting one. That wasn't really Momeyer's fault. It was Ed Nelson who had wrecked in turn 1 and was kind of in the way. He took a tow, but it was a bit late, and Momeyer had to try and swerve to avoid. But Nelson, unfortunately, is back in pit lane once more to try and take another spare car. So we had more problems from Momeyer, I think.
Yeah, looks like he's spun around. I wonder if he's maybe got some toe damage on the car. That even just a little bit of it can throw you off, as John's going to be able to get his way through the fountain section here at this point as they go, and he's going to be able to get himself back around. We're going to take a look at the replay here.
So this, I've done this so many times into this corner, if I'm honest, DJ. Just get a little greedy, and there's no margin for error into that corner. The wall's right there, and there you can see what caused Momeyer to wind up where he did.
Yeah, exactly. Just too much speed coming down through there and ping-ponging across the walls a little bit. And as you said, the margins are so very, very thin around here. You just barely step over that line, and it'll come back to bite you as we watch him come down in too much of the curb there. And I think that was a little bit of incident fixation that caught him out.
I mean, that was a great avoid, honestly, because you can't really see around that corner very well, and he kept from hitting him. So excellent job from him. Oh, Doug Boccignone is now in. He's got a black and orange flag, so he must have hit something or someone this lap, and I think it was Firestone turn.
Yeah, I think it was. There's some pretty hefty damage on the front of that familiar green and blue machine. As we check back in on the battle for P2, Bolton and Johnson, nothing between these two. And now, Joe, comes the point where if I was Michael Johnson, I'd start poking and prodding a little bit more, trying to see if I was going to be able to get a play here.
I was looking back at it every once in a while as we were taking a look at some of those replays, and it seemed like he fell off just a little bit. Another swerve from Michael Bolton coming down through the Indy left, finding himself having a difficult time, but he is so strong off that final hairpin. Johnson just has no answer for him.
Yeah, and I think that may keep him alive and into that second place here for the moment as he goes, trying to be able to see what he's able to do. If he's able to just keep that gap, keep that that distance and that run off of the hairpin, that'll save him.
Now they're coming up on Adam Abrams, who just allowed Tom Layton by. I wonder if maybe that's what Michael Johnson could be waiting for here. If the lap traffic could cause a pick, maybe he could try to sneak by Bolton when he's distracted.
That's a very good point, as there's a little bit of that lap traffic. That's Doug Boccignoni back down in 9th place right now, having repaired that car. We talked about that a little bit earlier. There we focus in. That's Tom Layton, your leader by about 8 seconds.
Yeah, he's been managing it from here. There in the background, you saw Adam Abrams that he had just overtaken. And there is the 704 as Bolton and Johnson are quickly approaching. Now, if they get him on the front stretch, that actually might work out a treat for at least Michael Bolton, because he hopefully won't hold him up. Let's see. Yep, good heads up here by Adam Abrams. He lets them through.
Yeah, very good heads up. He's actually going to duck down into pit lane there. I wonder if he had a black and orange flag or maybe just wanted to come in and get a spare car. But that's going to clear everything up. Here is John Momeyer as he continues to work his way around. 1 lap down here, the last driver on that only 1 lap down. As look again there. Closing in closer and closer under braking is Michael Johnson.
Yeah, I think Momeyer had a little bit of an incident, had to catch the car as he lost traction coming out of the fountain section. Just brushed the wall. He keeps going. Whoa! Speaking of brushing the wall, there goes Johnson slapping it.
Yeah, that's going to be a big, big wallop to the side of the car. He's really got to pray here that he didn't pick up too much damage on the side of that car. And thankfully, this isn't that big of a slipstreamy kind of track where any little bit of aero damage is going to throw you off. But still, that kind of jolt can certainly throw you for a loop.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about any potential suspension damage on that one. He gave it a pretty good thud. And he did fall off a little bit from the back of Bolton. Is he just maybe feeling it out, I wonder?
Yeah, maybe. That could be what he's doing. We'll have to see. Only about 5.5 minutes left to go. Both good lines coming off the hairpin as again, I couldn't tell if that was a little bit of wheel spin or just a little bit of tentative driving there out of Michael Johnson. But Bolton is once again able to absolutely power down this main straight.
Oof, Larry Haas and Mehmet Karasay fighting for 10th place have come together, unfortunately. Side-to-side contact between them, but it was a big dive from the 78 car. Not sure if we'll have a replay from that one. Momeyer in front of our current leader, who's making sure to give him plenty of berth. He can give away a bit of time here.
Yeah, he's got plenty of room to give here at this point, so I don't think he's going to be any particular hurry to try to get around John Momeyer, and so that'll just be a good run there for him. Right now, Bolton trying to see if he's able to hold off Johnson. Johnson looking a little bit more aggressive here at this point with only 4.5 minutes left to go.
Ooh, this is the closest we've seen him in some time coming down Seaside Way. Let's see if he tries it here. You talked about him coming down to it, needing to do something, but no, he's not willing to risk the car. He could use those valuable podium points himself at this stage. Doesn't want to be losing more, especially since Bolton there is the one chasing him in the points, and he's got a handy gap. If he just stays behind him these last couple rounds, he's probably not going to be under as much threat. So he carries on, and looks like nothing doing for now.
Nothing doing for now, but they do have a little bit of lap traffic up ahead. You can see it there, and Joe, you called this earlier. I think that is what is going to decide this battle, is that lap traffic.
In fact, that cost Tom Layton 3 seconds. But again, like I said, he's probably just playing as safe as he can with that, knowing that he doesn't want to cost himself the win here, especially now that he just got that points lead back. Let's see, both John Momeyer and Adam Abrams not racing for position, thankfully, so they're not in their own distracted battle, but looks like Bolton's distracted as he's having to go defensive on Michael Johnson, who's going to go around the outside, and he's got the job done.
Brilliant stuff there from Michael Johnson. You normally don't see passes around the outside. I said that was an opportunity for an over-under, but Johnson's job is not done here yet, as that is going to be Momeyer, and I believe Karasay up ahead of him.
And I believe it's going to be close on if they have 2 or 3 laps left here, as they still are on this traffic, and they are coming up behind him, being plugged up in one of the worst places. Oh, he's got to protect. Did they actually make contact there?
I couldn't tell if they did or not, but here comes the run. Bolton tucked up behind. He's going to get a great slipstream down the front stretch.
I think this is 3 laps left from what I could see. Leighton going by the line. Bolton's going to try and use this to his opportunity if he can. Oh, and just trying to get out of the way. I think that cost him. Adam Abrams weaved to the inside thinking he was going to get out of there, but Johnson was defending. He wanted that inside line.
Yeah, he certainly did. And credit there to Abrams. He was predictable. He drove a consistent line, and that's what you want to see there if you are a lapping car. For Michael Bolton, though, that's going to catch him on the back foot here. And this is the area of the track where we've seen Michael Johnson be able to pull away a little bit, and so that could cause a little bit of a problem here.
I fear that may have been Bolton's best chance to get this one back. Yes, he's still there, and they're somewhat close on pace, but surely Johnson already knows all the tricks, having watched Michael Bolton defend for so many laps now. This is going to be extremely tough to overtake on that 9. And I'm going to watch our leader, Tom Leighton. If he's past the line with more than 1:21 to go, then we are 2 laps left.
All right, and I can guarantee you Bolton is going to be praying that we have 2 laps left. He wants more bites at the apple than as possible.
Yep, 2 laps to go. Tom Leighton crossed the line with about 1:24 left and sets another fastest lap in the process. But now look at Johnson. Now that he's in clear air, he is a rocket ship and he is running away.
Yes, he is. He's the one now that gets that great exit out of the hairpin, and that's going to be enough to keep him at bay. Like we've said before, first sector, this is Johnson's sector. He's later on the blinders. He's a little bit more confident coming through the corners, and I think that's going to be able to keep him ahead here of Michael Bolton on this final about lap and a half.
Already 0.8 of a second ahead of Bolton. Just kind of extending it as far as he can go. Doesn't need to take it all the way out to the edges. Just needs to bring it home. And he'll have a handy second place. Unfortunately for him, he'll still lose points to Tom Leighton. And they're now coming down. This is 4 more races, including this one. Only 3 to go after they get the checkered flag here in about a minute or so's time. But as we follow Tom Leighton down through Firestone Turn and into the last couple corners, he's going to get the white flag.
Yes, he is, and credit where credit is due here to Tom Leighton. He started on the back foot a little bit, got pole position, and then had a little bit of a bad getaway, but he has responded in spades here as he takes the white flag at Long Beach.
Just enough time to squeak across that line. Behind him, Bolton still hovering at about 0.8 of a second. Johnson can't slip up here. He's got to try and make sure he hits his marks.
Yeah, he's just got to keep everything together here at this point. Probably about 6 car lengths the difference. And just that little bit of scrape of the wall that we saw earlier. Remember, Johnson had that. If he gets that again, that could be the opportunity here for Bolton. So he cannot rest on his laurels whatsoever.
Color me surprised. Dylan Scott has actually caught Jeffrey Shulam. I think that was about 7 seconds apart at one point. This is for a top 5 finish. And if Dylan Scott can do that, he'll have gained 8 spots off of the starting grid, considering he qualified 13th. This is a really massive run for him.
Who says you can't pass around Long Beach? Certainly not Dylan Scott, as he is now putting pressure to the back here of Shulam. Pressure's going to be the key here. Again, he's going to have a good chance going into the Tecate turn, maybe even onto Seaside Way and then off the back straightaway. But after that, his chances are going to be running thin.
Well, the chances are gone for everybody else to take the win because Tom Leighton comes out of the final corner and he is going to take victory here at Long Beach, his first time to make a hat trick.
And there he goes, a commanding drive for Leighton. Very, very well done as Johnson does a little bit of fun weaving there. Bolton closing in behind, and that is going to be Johnson P2, Bolton P3.
I think he's happy with that one. Oh, Dylan Scott, though, on Shulam, making him go defensive, and they've got that lap traffic in front. A little bit slow off the corner there for Jeff. Will Dylan be able to do anything? It's so hard to make the pass down into the hairpin. Going to look around the outside. Could he maybe pull the over-under here? Tries to get the launch off the corner, and he is just short of it at the very end. Well done to Shulam to take a top 5 today.
Yeah, that was a very impressive run there for Shulam to be able to hold that out. And even though Scott wasn't able to get the pass done, let's not discount. Up 7 positions, nothing to shake a stick at.
Absolutely. Great charge by both of them. Last one on the lead lap going to be Doug Baccignone, who is going to get 9th today. So definitely kind of what we expected with this track, certainly hurting a few drivers over the course of it. We're going to take a quick break, though. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Long Beach. Well, it was certainly an exciting one with predictability literally off the go. They had all kinds of cars that didn't manage to make a good start and shook things up. And despite Tom Layton being one of them, he still ran away with the win by about 9 seconds. Michael Johnson had to push his way through to second, fought Michael Bolton for it all race long, and that rounds out your podium. Jacob Abrams with a handy fourth, although I'm sure he's ruining his start because he was on the front row as well. Jeff Shulam, calm and collected despite losing a couple positions, wound up in P5, and Dylan Scott getting himself 6th place, hardest charger, up 7. BJ Fulton was 7th today as Mark Rondeau finished P8. Doug Boccignoni was exactly where he began this race in 9th, and Larry Haas, a lap down, was 10th.
In 11th place, it was Mehmet Karasay 2 laps down, followed by John Momeyer, and then Adam Abrams in 13th. Edward Nelson, Brian Salehi, and Jad Duncan all had a little bit of a rough day out there today.
Yep. You're not alone in that. It's going to be a lot of people that can say they've had a rough day at Long Beach over the years, but not too rough for Tom Layton. Came back from his lone error, I guess you could say, throughout it to take the victory. Tom, I'm guessing on your list of things to practice, it's going to be standing starts.
Oh, man. I actually practiced so many standing starts, but what I would normally do in the public race is just put it in first gear and just give it gas. And that was always like a safe start for me. But for some reason this time, it just spun the tires. And I guess it probably didn't work for a lot of other people behind me, judging by what I saw in the rearview mirror. So yeah, I thought it was going to be safe, and it did not work out for me.
That's a bit of a frustration, I'm sure. But once that happened, knowing how hard it is to pass, did you feel confident that you could get back to the lead?
Maybe. I mean, I knew I had raw pace, but being stuck behind Johnson is not my favorite place to be. He really knows how to defend and make his car wide. So I wasn't looking forward to it. Luckily, he made a couple mistakes in like the same spot a couple laps in a row, and I was able to capitalize on that. So I think I got a little lucky there.
Well, not only did you come into this race in the points lead, you're now pulling away even more. Only 3 rounds left. It's got to feel like the end is maybe in sight.
Not really, because I'm going to be in real life in Japan for the next 2 races. So it's going to be close.
All right. Well, I mean, that's good for us, I suppose, but bad for you. Well, congratulations on the win, and can't wait till the next time we get to talk to you.
Yep. Thanks, guys. And I'd just like to thank my wife for supporting me, and thank my sponsors, FR Sport.
That was Tom Layton, your winner here today. And DJ's caught up with Michael Johnson, who had quite the thrilling battle.
Yeah, certainly did. Michael, you were absolutely duking it out there with Michael Bolton. How was it behind the wheel?
Exciting, fun. It was everything. We did a session yesterday, coaching session, and I was working with him on some things, and it was everything we did yesterday And all I could do was wait for him to make a mistake. And when he got a little sideways coming onto the return to shoreline, the opposite direction shoreline, I was able to kind of trick him into staying tight. And I went out wide and was able to get around him. But had it not been for that, I am not certain I could have gotten around him at all. It was just, we were neck and neck. We were too close.
Well, I wanted to ask you, we saw some lap traffic coming up around you, and it looked like you may be trying to use that as a little bit of a pick. How much was that actually factoring into your attack?
Well, the pucker factor was quite high because when we went into the Firestone cutover, they both went opposite directions, and I had no idea where to go. And I took a glance at my mirror, and Bolton was right there. So I was like, well, I've got to defend this. How am I going to get around? And I wasn't sure what to do. I had options, but I didn't have enough experience with one of the drivers. The other driver I've seen a lot, I knew what he was going to do. He was going to stay online, do exactly what I expected. The other driver was a bit of a wild card, and I just didn't know what to do. So I was able to block the pass and kind of hold back and wait till we got around the hairpin and try to launch out of there. And even then, it got a little scary going into turn one offline like that. And because I had communicated, hey, we're going to go to your left side. We had massive speed on him. I had said, we're going to go to your left side. And he pulled left and then back right as I started to come back right. So it was a little crazy.
A little bit crazy there. And, well, the craziness hopefully going to abate a little bit as we make it to the next round at Barcelona. I can't remember. I know you've driven there before. Is that a favorite of yours, or is that one that's going to take a little practice?
I love Barcelona. I thought we were going to Fuji, but maybe it's Barcelona. I love Barcelona. Fast.
It is Fuji. I'm crazy.
Okay. That we know, but that's okay. So Fuji's fun. I've only driven Fuji backwards, which really sounds weird. It was for a TV show thing. And if you're clever, you could probably figure out what was going on and where it was and when it was, but I can't say because of NDAs. But anyway, yeah, it was, it's a fun track. There's a lot of opportunity for long straightaway drafting passing. And some, it just, the whole track tightens up. It gets exciting. It gets very exciting. And you just, it's like a spring getting compressed and then poof, it launches out and you're back to your full speed when you get around that last corner. It's a lot of fun. I love that track.
It's becoming a favorite of mine to call races on. But Michael, you know the drill. A great run here tonight to come home P2. Who makes it possible?
Well, Fix Vodka, of course, Freedom Supercars Austin, Truffle Shuffle, without a doubt. Those guys have got some great stuff going on for Mother's Day. Please check them out at truffleshufflesf.com. T-Mobile for Business, and, of course, Gijo over at Sugar Studios LA.
All right. Well, Michael, thank you so much. Congratulations once again. That was Michael Johnson, your second place finisher here tonight, Joe.
And third was Michael Bolton, who honestly I think we should commend because that was a long defense, and it's always difficult to try and hold Michael Johnson back. Michael, you didn't keep the second place in the end to try and catch back up to him in the points, but still, that was incredible how long you were able to hold on to that pressure.
What's up, Joe? I felt like I was back in the motocross days, getting the whole shot, going for it. Never let a race in the POC, so that was a first for me. And I knew Tom was going to be coming, so just tried to stay focused, stay out of the wall, and keep it on the black stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, really a fantastic job coming off the line. Certainly made some of the fastest drivers here look a little bit like fools today. So that's got to be a proud moment. Now, it's a ways to go to catch up to Michael Johnson. I'm sure he's probably more concerned with trying to catch Tom Layton. But do you think maybe you can do anything in these last three rounds to catch up to MJ?
That's a great question. I think, honestly, I mean, Michael Johnson and I have been working really hard, last season and this season as well. So huge shout out to him for the coaching and for the mentorship. I think that there's a lot of time for me to still find, but, I'm happy. I'm happy as long as I have a similar race pace to him. I really can't complain too much. Tom is in another universe. So, would love to have some great battles with Johnson coming up in the future.
Well, I'm sure, and you guys have honestly been doing great with each other whenever we've seen you come together out on track. Going off to Fuji, have you run that one yet? Because that's a bit of a newish circuit here on iRacing.
That is, I have some experience there, but not a ton. So I will definitely have to get some seat time in there and do my homework and give it the best I can. I got a couple more races left and really want to finish in the top 3 for the championship. So that's my goal, and that's what I'm focused on. So.
Well, again, congratulations. Another podium. I believe your 5th of the season. So well earned, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. A quick shout out to my fiance, Gabby, Speed Gallery, Pineapple Grips, the 2 doggies, Hamilton and Monkey, and GSRC. You guys are awesome. And the POC, last but not least. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for the kind words. That was Michael Bolton, your 3rd place finisher here today, which is going to wrap us up. So we want to give a thank you to the sponsors of the series, which include Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or 225-664-2565. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. Like we said, next time out, it's off to Japan for Fuji, Monday, May 8th at 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. So until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.